نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونسترضيه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا إنه من يهده الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير سبحانك 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 يا ربنا لك الحمد ملء السماوات وملء الأرض وملء ما بينهما وملء ما شاء ربي من شيء بعد وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وحبيبه بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح للأمة وكشف الله به الغمة وتركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا من كان من الهالكين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. فاتقوا الله عباد الله حق التقوى واستمسكوا من دينكم بالعروة الوثقى واعلموا أن الموت قد تخطاكم لغيركم وغدا يتخطى غيركم إليكم فخذوا حذركم. فالكيس من دنا نفسه وعمل لما بعد الموت والغافل من أتبع نفسه هواها ثم تمنى على الله الأماني. Brothers and sisters, we are still in the journey in the Quran and Sunnah of Rasulullah about Al-Quds. This is the third khutbah, inshallah. We're going to get to the verses and the prophets as we go, inshallah. May Allah Azza wa Jal give us the umr and the knowledge and the sincerity to be able to tell the Muslims the history of the Ummah. And last khutbah I mentioned about verses from Surah number 5, Surah Al-Ma'idah from verse 21 to verse 26. I'd like to jump a little bit because I expect some of our students to be here today because it's starting of the holiday. In order to share with them and you a story that we have to tell our kids about. We have to make it a dinner talk or a lunch talk or a walk and talk. And instead of Messi and the news of Julia and her husband and the cinema and the fashions and all of that, we need to go back to our history in order to learn. وَتِلْكَ الْأَيَّامُ نُدَاوِلُهَا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. And the days go by. And we found out that Jerusalem is Aqidah. That was the bottom line. And we will not be able to get Jerusalem back without this Aqidah. Without the way Umar and Salah ad-Din and other people did. Today I'd like to talk to you about how Umar radiallahu anhu, Umar ibn al-Khattab, opened Jerusalem. He didn't conquer Jerusalem because there was no bloodshed at that time. It was an opening. So Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah, he he was in Damascus. And he went with the army to siege Bayt al-Maqdis. واستخلف سعيد بن زيد رضي الله عنهم جميعا. His successor in governing Damascus was Sa'id ibn Zayd. Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah, he surrounded the Bayt al-Maqdis and he asked them for the three things that we learn from the Islamic history. Islam, jizya, أو الحرب. So if either you declare your Islam or you pay the jizya, which we do pay now, unfortunately, the Muslim already paid their jizya of taqarn. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. Or it is war. This is the third option, there is no fourth. So they said we accept to talk and negotiation under one condition. We need the Caliph himself, Amir al-Mu'mineen Umar, to take the keys for Bayt al-Maqdis himself, not anybody else. So Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah, Amir هذه الأمة, sent a message to Al-Madinah. Al-Madinah was the capital of the Muslim Ummah at that time. The stronghold of any government is the capital. So it's what kind of setup people start to be not sure whether they tell. Umar ibn Khattab sit with the Sahaba and start asking them, what do you guys think? Should I go or not to go? Is it a setup or what? So he said, Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu said, don't go. On the other hand, Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib said, no, you go. So you have two different people, two successors of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, give two different opinions. So Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab decided to take Ali ibn Abi Talib's opinion and he decided to go to Jerusalem. After he decided that now the delegation of Umar ibn Khattab should be like Mercedes-Benz 2017 or something. Back then, I don't know, the highest model of everything. There was no Camel, Mercedes, or Jaguar. How many camels? What was the caravan of the Amir al-Mu'mineen? One camel. In a country that is known for camels. La hawla quwwata illa billah. Just one camel. How many men? Just one man. His name is Salim Mawla Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. So he said, there is a deal with you, Salim. We're going to take turns. I will write and I read just from the Quran, and you will pull the camel, and if I do a mistake, you correct it for me. And then you take your turn. So of course the one on the back of the camel is the one who is reciting because he's relaxed. And the other one is just listening. But let me get on the camel so people don't get mad at you. As we going off the outskirts of Medina, say, oh, Amir al-Mu'mineen, blah, 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 you know, people never stop talking. They take turns. And when they finish the whole Quran, it's a long distance if you go on a camel. So they start over again. Until it was Salim's turn when they can see on the horizon Bayt al-Maqdis, Jerusalem. It was Salim's turn to be on the back of the camel. And Salim, as a decent, polite guy, he's a servant. And Amir al-Mu'mineen is the one who's pulling the camel.
He said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, O Amir al-Mu'mineen, now I'd like you to get on the camel because you're going to meet the people and they don't know the perception. And he said, Salim, a deal is a deal. It's your turn. Not only did he do that, but while he was walking, in order to get to the other side, there was a puddle of mud. Excuse me. So Amir al-Mu'mineen just tried to conceptualize a president of 21st century of one Muslim nation, or who claimed to be Muslim, is doing that. وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. So he got the camel and moved into the puddle of mud. He took off his sandals, put it under his axilla, and just walking in the mud. Amir al-Mu'mineen. You can go back to Abu Ja'far ibn Jarir في البداية والنهاية. If you'd like to take more details. So, who was waiting there? The Patriarch of Rome himself came. Bishop of Jerusalem and 17 other priests and ambassadors from all over the world to this very historical moment, the most important and instrumental city in the world. And the Amir al-Mu'mineen that we've been hearing about is coming, Umar ibn Khattab. Let me get the camera to zoom in this scenery while Umar ibn Khattab, what kind of clothes that he had on. All of us remember when he was giving khutbah and Salman, one of the Sahaba, stood up and he said, we're not going to listen to you. You have two garments. Everyone in our brothers here have one garment. So he pointed out to Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Khattab and said, answer him, Ya Abdullah. And he said, إِنَّ أَبِي لَرَجُلٌ طوال يعني شمقمق, or is really tall. So Umar ibn Khattab was so big. And he got the two garments and they stitched the two garments together. Just imagine I have another thing like this and it is stitched. And it will look awkward to some people. And he got 17 patches on his garment. Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen, when you read history, you find Amir al-Mu'mineen Umar ibn Khattab used to be very well dressed. And he was one of the few literate to knows how to read and write. And we know the story of his Islam with his sister and how strong he was. And he went to Rasulullah ﷺ one time, the hadith, I mentioned that here before, and found Rasulullah ﷺ ينام على الحصير. It's just like a kind of carpet made of hay. And there were some traces of this on his, on his side of Rasulullah ﷺ. And Baka Umar ibn Khattab started crying and saying, Ya Rasulullah. Kisra and Qaisar, people from Caesars and people from Persia and people from Rome are having a lot of, they sleep in, Rustum had a golden bed. And you and Rasulullah ﷺ sleep like this? This is Ibn al-Khattab. Ibn al-Khattab, oh, the son of al-Khattab. أما تريد أن تكون لهم الدنيا ولنا الآخرة. Don't you like that? They have the dunya, this life, and we have the akhirah. This lesson he didn't take in a theoretical way. He applied it right away. And after he was very well dressed, he just gave these 17 patches clothing, going to get the keys for the most important city in the world. Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah felt a little worried. Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah and Amr ibn al-As and other Muslims were there in the reception of Umar ibn al-Khattab. And they've been given garments, new garments, special, welcome. And they spent a lot of money getting 2 kilometers red carpet for Umar. Once you step in the city, you are on the red carpet. And Abu Ubaidah said, I need to take care of some business, took to Amir al-Mu'mineen. And when Amir al-Mu'mineen, those people care about showing off and how elegant and blah, blah, blah. And Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab told, لو كان غيرك يا أبو عبيدة لو كان غيرك يا أبا عبيدة. If it is somebody else, Abu Ubaidah, and said words that the history actually give it light throughout ages. And he has a lot of sayings. He's نحن قوم. Listen, our youngsters, listen carefully. We are not saying stories to entertain each other. To know how dignified this ummah used to be. نحن قوم أعزنا الله بالإسلام فإذا ابتغينا العزة في غيره أذلنا الله. We are people who were dignified by Islam, get honor by Islam. If we're going to seek honor and glory in any other means, we'll be humiliated. You can say nationalism, urubism, you can say left and right, you can say flags. This is not going to get the Al-Aqsa back. Never. We've been trying for years. It's only one way and one way only. It's Allah Azza wa Jal and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are honored by Islam. You gotta be so proud that you are a Muslim. You raise your head up. And I give you 10 seconds. Think if you're not a Muslim. Just think about it right now. Say Alhamdulillah. Say it from your heart because Allah Azza wa Jal chose you out of millions, billions. So, Umar ibn al-Khattab get a free tour from the priest in the Church of Nativity. By the way, the Church of Nativity is still there. And it was noon prayers. And the guy was so decent and told Amir al-Mu'mineen, go ahead and pray. But he told us, he knew how the course of the history is going to be. He said, no, I'm not going to pray here. Lest that, he's afraid that generations will come and say, oh, the second successor, Al-Faruq Umar, prayed here. We need to pray here. We're not like that. He decided to pray, and sure enough, lo and behold, 400 years later, they built a masjid, and it was named after Umar, and we still have the masjid till now. So we have the Church of Nativity, and we have Masjid Umar for Maqdisian, or people, our brothers and sisters from Palestine, they know that very well. So, Umar ibn Khattab, of course, everybody knows that he was chosen by Michael Hartman, the 52nd most influential person in the history of human being. Most of us read this book, the most influential 100 person in the history, and I highly recommend it. Who's number one? Who was number one? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. in the UN Charter, there is still a saying by Umar ibn al-Khattab, since when you enslave people when their mothers born them to be free? متى استعبدتم الناس وقد ولدتهم أمهاتهم أحرارا. Since when you enslave people when their mothers born them free? This is Umar ibn al-Khattab, and this is how he entered Masjid al-Aqsa. And he made sujood shukr, and he started crying. This is the way we need to do. The path to Jerusalem and Al-Quds is from here and from you. You won't be able to conquer anything unless and until you conquer yourself. And this is so clear where Rasulullah came back from one of the battle, and he said, عُدْنَا مِنَ الْجِهَادِ الْأَصْغَرِ إِلَى الْجِهَادِ الْأَكْبَرِ. We came from the minor jihad to the major jihad. It was not a remote control kind of missiles back then. It was face-to-face fencing and dueling. So there is the chances that people get killed is so high. But Rasulullah ﷺ told them that was the minor jihad. The major jihad is you. Is yourself. Is your jihad against yourself. And this is the only way to get the golden keys of the golden gates of the golden city of Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. May Allah Azza wa Jal set it free. May Allah Azza wa Jal give us all a prayer in Masjid Al-Aqsa في يوم فتح ونصر. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله. This is the story of Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab. Not the biography of Umar ibn al-Khattab, it is just this segment of what I'm concerned with. And we need to remember the same sentence. That might be a takeaway lesson from today. If you didn't get anything from this khutbah, except for this sentence, please remember it. And keep saying it to yourself. Maybe you need to write it in front of you, in your desk, in your clinic, in your school. You need to teach it again to your kids. نحن قوم أعزنا الله بالإسلام فإن ابتغينا العزة في غيره أذلنا الله. This is the key to Jerusalem. We are people. We're given dignity and honor by Islam. So if we're going to seek honor and glory in any other means, we will be humiliated. This is a takeaway lesson. أقيموا دولة الإسلام في قلوبكم تقم على أرضكم. You build the state of Islam inside your heart, is going to be automatically on your land. وأن لو استقاموا على الطريقة لأسقيناهم ماء غدقا. So it's not going to work except for what Allah Azza wa Jal wants. Don't depend on the Arab leaders and the Muslim leaders. Forget it. Forget it. There is treasons and there is a lot of problems. And we all know, it's not a secret. But remember, brothers and sisters, that until we melt in the pot of Islam only, not a flag. Don't say I'm Egyptian. Don't say I'm Turkish or Pakistani or Indian or whatever. You're what? Muslim. That's your number one. Allah Azza wa Jal will never ask you in your grave through the Malaika which nationality you guys have. He's not going to tell you, yeah, what was the flag of your nation? No. He's going to ask you about your Islam, your Nabi, your deen. And you better have good answer for that. So, brothers and sisters, it's always a hope for the beam in the end of the tunnel, the beam of light, that we are going to go and pray in Masjid al-Aqsa. The answer is how? Is actually lies in everybody's hand. Please change something. Something that you know, nobody else knows. كل ابن آدم خاطئ أم خطاء؟ خطاء. Constantly we do mistakes. Don't pick on others. We have enough. We have enough mistakes. Wallahi, if there is some sort of smell for sins, you won't be able to bear me inside this masjid. May Allah forgive me and you all. So, we need to build up the brotherhood. We need to build this masjid. We need to get this to be a constitution, to internalize the true and the essence of Islam. We don't have time for tafahat al-umur, the tribal things. Don't waste your brother's time and your sisters. Work hard. Do your best as students. Be the best. If something above A+, get above A+. We need people to be listed, a Nobel laureate list from Muslims. How many Jewish scientists there? A Nobel Prize. So many. How many Muslims throughout the time? You can count them in two hands. So brothers and sisters, the way is not easy, but is possible. Because it is a promise of Allah. وَصَدَقَ اللَّهُ. We believe Allah and His Messenger, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But you gotta start. The 1,000-mile trip start with just one step. Did you take this one step? Maybe this week you need to focus on how to pray, how to enjoy prayers, not to get rid of prayers. I just found out after 40 years of my life, 40-something years, that there is a technique I'd like to share with you. Allah Azza wa Jal just send it to me. Alhamdulillah. Is when I start breathing in prayers, full breath in and full breath out, I start to enjoy my prayers. I'm not just getting rid of Dhuhr or Asr or Maghrib. So just, I am done. No, no, no. You will find a third dimension or a fourth dimension. Try to, when you do anything, you start breathing. So when you're making ruku', breathe. When you are down, start breathing. Subhan Rabbiyal A'la. When your face and forehead is the lowest point, you're saying Allah is the highest. You kind of saying Allah exalted is high. Try to do this technique, brother, this week. With the niyyah of al-Quds. And this way, we will be able to. May Allah Azza wa Jal purify our hearts and perfect our prayers. May Allah Azza wa Jal get our hearts together. And may Allah Azza wa Jal get the whole ummah clings around Hablillah al-Mateen. May Allah Azza wa Jal get us to be Quran yamshi ala al-ard. Quran walking on earth. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك اللهم ألف بين قلوبنا ووحد بين صفوفنا اللهم عليك بالظالمين اللهم عليك بالمعتدين اللهم عليك بالخائنين اللهم إنا نبرأ لك مما يحدث في أمتنا. We disassociate ourselves from what happening in our countries, our Muslim countries, and in Jerusalem in particular. We disassociate ourselves from anybody who was a bridge for those people to get there. We disassociate ourselves from everybody who is selling our case. May Allah Azza wa Jal gather us in Jannah, and may Allah Azza wa Jal get us to pray in Bayt al-Maqdis في مسجد الأقصى مصر النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم. May Allah Azza wa Jal يختم لنا بخاتمة السعادة أجمعين. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. أقم الصلاة. الله أكبر الله